Welcome back to Abu Dhabi for the final GP3 race of the season. It's the first on-track action of this title-deciding Grand Prix Sunday, but unlike Formula 1 and GP2, the GP3 battles are settled. Charles Leclerc and ART are the champions, so now we wait to see who will take the last victory of the season. It's the 18th and final race of the 2016 GP3 season. I'm your commentator, Alex Jakes. And it is, as you would expect, another glorious day here at the Yas Marina circuit. The marina absolutely full to capacity. Such a day of motorsport in prospect. We're focusing, of course, on GP3. And the track temperature out there, 35 degrees. It is 5 minutes to 1. Well, yesterday it looked like a settled race with Albon commandingly in the lead. How that changed. And Leclerc ended up being champion, both of them finishing at the back. It was a first point-scoring finish for Konstantin Tereshchenko. It means he lines up on reverse grid pole. Jake Hughes fought from the pit lane to 7th place. Stein Stotthorst has promised to finish the season in style from 3rd. Narei Fukuzumi is 4th, Kevin York 5th, and Jack Aitken saying he loved the battle for the lead with Albon yesterday. Disappointed it didn't go his way. He finished 3rd. Dennis was disappointed to get off the line slowly, and our winner yesterday, down to 8th on the grid, was Nick de Vries. Then we had Ferrucci, who called his penalty political, and then we had Palou, Alesi, and Lorandi goes from 12th position. Nandi is 13th, Maney 14th. Then we have Stuvig and Fuoco, who had electrical trouble all the way through the race, and he goes from 16th. Then our champion, Charles Leclerc, goes from 17th. Then Essican, Albon, Calderon, Parry, and 22nd and last, Arte Llanos. So, a word for Alexander Albon first of all, because he was first to congratulate this man. He went and apologized to Aitken. It's a strange race yesterday, with Leclerc being told that he was champion no matter what because of his teammates' actions. He's getting the last encouragement there. And it was very interesting indeed to see it unfold. It really exploded after that safety car, didn't it? It really kicked off then with Albon hitting Aitken, Leclerc being told he was the champion, and then hitting Ferrucci himself. I mentioned Ferrucci's penalty. So, lovely scenes in the pit lane with Leclerc able to celebrate with his mechanics, and ART have delivered another driver champion in GP3. More final encouragement. And I mentioned Alexander Albon apologizing. Jack Aitken praised that move. He said it was very, very good of him to immediately say, I think Albon knew immediately it had been a bit of a rush of blood to the head. A race that he was so commandingly in the lead of. He was so emphatically in first place, and then the safety car came. What could have been. He said it was really frustrating, a huge regret, he called it, after apologizing because he had the pace to take it to a last round decider. But sportingly, he said that Charles Leclerc completely deserved it, and Leclerc praised him back, saying he was the toughest teammate he'd had in his fledgling career so far. Big opportunity for Tereshchenko. I mentioned he scored his first points. Well, he's got a great chance to add to that today from the front row. Sometimes has been erratic this year, had a few rounds at the end of last season as well. But if he can get away, we saw that in the final race here last year with a first-time winner. Then it was Alex Palou who managed to get the job done and take his first victory. That is what Tereshchenko is looking at. He's going to have some major competition alongside, and this man is going to go on the attack, hopefully not with the same effect that we saw yesterday. There is Sebastian Philippe, the man running the show at ART. He's had a phenomenal season and running outfits in DTM and GP2 as well as GP3. He's been a very busy man in 2016. We have cleared the grid and we are ready for the lights. And when they go green, we will be underway in just a few seconds' time for the formation lap, where they will try and get as much heat into the brakes, the tyres, the super soft compound being run for the first time this weekend. Talking of degradation, Jake Dennis likened it to the GP2 race, where you see the guys at the start really struggling on the super soft rubber, but he said the difference was in GP3 they had it for 18 laps. They were really having to manage from the early stages. Indeed, Charles Leclerc, who looked to be struggling initially, said afterwards that he was in fact tyre saving with an aim to really put those in front of him under pressure, and it explains the performance that we saw. Perhaps it was slightly too conservative, but it is all, of course, of no matter for Leclerc at this stage as the field begins the process of warming brakes. Elsewhere in the field, Nick de Vries, our winner yesterday, said he was so pleased to take victory, and he was certain he could have been a contender in 2016. You see him down there in 6th place in the standings. Confirmation that Leclerc is the champion no matter what happens today, securing it in the penultimate race. And de Vries, of course, with ART was touted as one of the title contenders. You can see him there with the green camera on top of the red and white liveried car. Going through your shot right now, and he will be going on the attack. It's a really interesting dynamic in this final race of the year, because many drivers out there will be looking at other teams, some will be looking at other series, and it means that you get slightly more robust wheel-to-wheel action. And that's certainly what we saw yesterday, so it's going to increase today. We're in for a real treat. And de Vries, the McLaren junior, knows that this is not the year his career needed. So a little bit of regret, but he was very pleased to notch that victory. He's second in the GP3 series. Remember how quick Alexander Albon was yesterday. Will that translate as he comes through the field? It's very easy to get caught up in a first corner accident around this circuit, and if you do so, it will be in the first 300 meters. Remember what happened last year, 1 year ago, with Ocon making a decisive move against Giotto at the start, banging wheels off the line. It was enough to secure him the title that day. You can make major gains on the first lap, but with the amount of retirements and contact we saw yesterday, got to do it in a manner that is sensible. On board with Antonio Fuoco, who came into the weekend with the remotest chance of taking the title. That evaporated after qualifying, but he is currently occupying 3rd place in the standings with 157 points, trying to improve through the field. It's been a difficult last couple of rounds for the Italian driver. That is the reason that he has fallen out of contention. Fuoco's teammate, Artellanos, is 22nd and last on the grid. So we've got pole position here on the right-hand side. Tereshchenko filling it. That is Charlie Whiting's view, and we will be ready to go. Green flag at the back. Look up to the lights, because for the last time in 2016, we're about to go racing in GP3. We're underway with a decent start for both of the guys off the front row. Tereshchenko having to chop across Hughes. That's going to open the door there for Hughes, who had been initially blocked. And Tereshchenko falling back there. Not the start he needed. And he's badly lost out there. Badly lost out. Hughes, now he's off the road. Off the road in a major way. Has he managed to keep it on the racetrack? He's returned. We're on board with Charles Leclerc down the order. And Palou there getting involved. So great start for Aitken, exactly what he would have wanted, but it's Jake Hughes in the lead, and he had initially been blocked off the line. Looked like he was going to have to settle for maybe 3rd or 4th, but it's worked out really nice for him, and we saw Aitken on the attack yesterday. We know he's got great straight line speed, and he's proving it once again, going to the outside. Oh, huge accident. That is a massive accident, surely there on the back straight. I think that's Alexander Albon. The safety car immediately deployed. Yeah, it is on the back straight there. And we're on board with Albon. The man who crashed out of yesterday's race has done so again. And he retires. Hopefully he's all right, because that looked a very big impact indeed. They are building up to 286 kilometers an hour there down the straight out of turn. It's a 1.2 kilometer straight if it's the first one, still very long. So A confirmation that it's Hughes in the lead. Calderon has got a broken front suspension. Remember, she retired yesterday. A season that has yielded 2 points finishes for the Colombian driver. And a puff of the cheeks and a shake of the head, well, it tells you all you need to know. We were so looking forward to seeing their guys, their drivers, charge through the field. But what happened to Alexander Albon? Oh, my word, he's just lost it. And that is such an unusual place to go off. Don't think in the years that this race has been going, I've seen a car crash there. It's Calderon on the left-hand side, and there is the contact. That is so easy to do. It's remarkable we don't see it so often, but thank goodness he went in to the Tech Pro barrier and not a couple of meters further along into the Armco, because it would have been much bigger accident, and Albon would have been really caught by surprise there. So Tatiana Calderon in the final race, retiring after contact. So we've lost 2 drivers already. There is great to see Alexander Albon, the man who at the moment is the runner-up in this series. He's okay, he's out of the car, and they are getting to work with the Tech Pro barrier. They've got to recover the car. There's not a crane immediately in sight, but a lot of work to do then. Remember what happened last year with GP2. We didn't really get much of a race. It was cancelled after 3 corners and never restarted. A lot of work to do on the barrier once again, 1 year on. Santino Ferrucci had a puncher on that opening lap. He's changed the tyre, he's back on his way, and he will be at the tail of the field with 20 left in the field. Confirmation there with Albon and Calderon out of the race. So the start really was a mixed bag for Hughes. Got a decent initial getaway, was chopped by Tereshchenko, who fell. There he is, right down the order. Started in reverse grid pole and fell to 8th, which is where he finished yesterday. So things moving a little bit too quickly for Konstantin Tereshchenko there. So as the field filtered through behind the safety car, it was Tereshchenko off the line, realizes he's got a slightly poor getaway, shuts the door. That opened things for Stotthorst, but then Fukuzumi down the inside forced the Campos pair wide, and that allowed Hughes back into the lead. So look at Fukuzumi from 4th place, red and white ART. Great initial getaway considering it's only 300 meters, but he's not able to make the corner. Sends Konstantin Tereshchenko wide, Stotthorst wide as well, and look, there's 4 of them rejoin the racetrack, and that is how Palou managed to get himself past his teammate. Alex Palou absolutely flying through there as he managed to get himself up to 7th. We're on board with Antonio Fuoco as he went off the line, trying to dart left and right. Very close to contact there between De Vries and Lorande, I think it was. No, it would have been Albon, who is now, of course, out of this race, up the hill. And this is where we saw the accident in GP2 last year. Fastest corner on the racetrack right here. Remember, the tyre's not at the optimum temperature at that stage. It's only a few corners old at that point. Leclerc on board. So you see very tight indeed, going all the way around the outside. Campos are off in front of us. We've got Giuliano Alesi straight ahead. And this is on board with Jake Dennis, getting a much better start than yesterday. He will be delighted with that. Said yesterday with his start, things just did not work how they had all year. There you see Fukuzumi sending the Campos wide, and that was an absolute joy for the Ardens. Fukuzumi getting out of the throttle before Aitken. He won that battle of the bravery, and that, with a little bit more commitment, is how we got Dennis up to 4th, Aitken up to 2nd, Fukuzumi is 3rd, and that is the order. So looking back from Bert Mailander driving the Mercedes safety car at the Dams team that are going looking for their 2nd victory of the season in this, the last race of the campaign. And that's great to see. The Tech Pro barrier appears to be all right. The ART has been removed, and most importantly of all, Alexander Albon is out. And so drivers now going back to the restart, and how influential the restarts were. Hughes is going to have a big task in terms of keeping Aitken behind, because remember how racy he was yesterday. in terms of getting the job done at the very start. So that was Tereshchenko off the road in the background. And this was the field on the opening lap of the race. Plenty cutting the corners. Such a ragged lap for Tereshchenko. Off the road at 3, wide at 1, deep into turn number 5. Now, if you look down the field, it's the ART and the Arden that made contact. And there we go. The nature of that straight means that you do have to veer to the left-hand side. You lose a lane on the left-hand side. It's shifted over because otherwise, when they initially built it, despite this place basically costing $1 billion to build, they didn't take into account the sight lines from the grandstand, and that is why it veers to the left-hand side as they head down to turn 8. Right, safety car restart. Safety car is gone. Jake Hughes, is he going to bolt now? He has, you know, he's gone, and he will restart this race with Aitken giving chase behind. Fukuzumi, who thought, well, he did have the lead momentarily, but he wasn't able to keep it, and we know how quick the Ardens are in a race that requires tyre management. That's exactly what we've got with Stotthorst giving chase from 5th position, the lead Campos at the moment. Remember, Palou as well, racing in 7th place, was the winner around here this time last year, so he knows how to score a good result. A perfect restart from Jake Hughes. He's done wonderfully well there to break the momentum of his countryman Aitken, and that is looking very nice indeed as it's Dennis in 4th position, looking at Fukuzumi for another podium. The incident involving Albon and Calderon understandably will be reviewed after the race, but Alexander Albon, who came into this weekend with a chance of the title, instead unusually not scoring. It's the first time in 2016 that he's failed to score in both races. Kevin York's got a great run now on Alex Palou down the inside. Stays Palou. Good momentum though for York, who was very, very composed yesterday. Did a marvelous job. Finished behind his teammate on the road, but of course his teammate got the penalty, and it was a career best 4th for York yesterday. Going in search of more points, going in search of another podium. Jake Dennis. Remember, because of the height of Dennis, he carries that penalty in terms of time, estimated to be as much as 0.2 of a second a lap, but he's always so competitive. Says a lot about his ability. And we've got there York still. So he was racing one Campos at the faster end of the circuit, now coming under major pressure from the one behind him. Konstantin Tereshchenko trying to make up lost ground, and my word, did he lose a lot of ground in 3 corners of the racetrack. Won't get through there, and no time really worth losing, sending a nose to the inside. It is a wonderful restart lap then for Hughes, who has the lead of an exactly 1 second, and with it the fastest lap of the race with a 2-minute and 3/10 lap of this 3.4-mile circuit as they roar across the line and start their 5th tour of this fantastic facility here. Slight error there, you would think, for Dennis, because he's nowhere near the back of Fukuzumi, and he was slightly earlier. Oh, Stotthorst has gone deep there. That's going to leave him really vulnerable into the hairpin. Palou trying to take the long outside line. He will get superb momentum, and a nervous moment on the Campos pit wall there. Stotthorst checking his left-hand mirror, knows he's got to go defensive. That will mean hugging the left-hand side of the racetrack. Palou knows he's got to be careful because the switchback nature of the corners that come next can easily result in contact, but not when you've got that much momentum, and he's passed his teammate. That will be satisfying. He is on the charge. Alex Palou started 10th. He is now up in this race to 5th position. A stunning charge so far, and he will be really, really pleased to have started 3rd of the Camposes and now move up. We've got the black and orange flag. That means you've got to come into the pits and get your damage seen too. Tereshchenko trying the move, and that is outstanding from Konstantin Tereshchenko. Gets past York, who is demoted, so that was 7th. for Tereshchenko. We're on board with Leclerc. Remember, started, whoa, that's so close to contact there at the background. Oh, he's not going to take both of them, is he? That is absolutely audacious. Wonderful stuff with a man who is racing carefree. And having moved up to 11th position, he's gone even further, past his former title rival, Antonio Fuoco. And Charles Leclerc is the man on a mission. Very close at the front of the field then, between Hughes, who has seen his lead eradicated. Dennis, he'd fallen back a little bit, but got the points there for fastest lap. As it stands, good lap as well. So the first man into the 159s as it stands on the racetrack, the only man in the 159s. That is how quickly Dennis is running out there, a full second quicker. And here you see Alessio Lorandi recalled to the pit lane, forced to do so by the black and orange flag. Genza will go to work and try and get their man back out there, because remember, they are running Lorandi. This is the second round that they are running him in the series, and they are running him with a view to doing so next year. So every lap he turns in GP3 machinery is useful. It is a learning experience. Hughes with a slide check of the mirrors, but he's very strong in that first sector. And if he carries that on, he's going to be in terrific form, because it's all about speed in the first sector into the second. That will really set you up in the race. Different approach for qualifying, of course, where the final two sectors make an enormous difference, and you needed the tyre life to hang on. But in the race, it's all about getting close into that turn 7 hairpin, doing what we saw, the man coming into frame right now, Palou, doing just a few laps ago. Campos running 1, 2, 3 at the moment in 5th, 6th and 7th positions. Leclerc absolutely on it. He's got past Giuliano Alesi, which means he's up to 9th position. That is just so much speed from Leclerc, and excellent to see him driving without any sort of inhibitions at all. He's just loving it out there. There he is, the Monegasque driver and the champion for this year. There's De Vries, our race winner from yesterday, currently down in 11th position behind Giuliano Alesi, and that will be disappointing for him. A really poor start from 8th has caused a major issue. We're at the halfway stage of a race that's really in the balance. You couldn't say that any of the point scoring positions in the top 8 are going to remain the same. How far is Leclerc going to get? He's into the points next if he can catch Kevin York, who will be desperate to score 2 points in a round for the first time since the opening round of the season in Barcelona, when he was 5th and 7th. Stotthorst has he's struggling into that corner. Remember, the mistake that he made there left him vulnerable. And is that Tereshchenko throwing one down the inside? It is! And he's managed to force his teammate off the road. He'll be able to rejoin. He's kept his foot in, and they're still side by side. Stotthorst won't have liked that one little bit. This is where we saw the contact for Albon, and they're running very, very close together. Who blinks first? Stotthorst having to come back in. Is he going to send one to the inside? That would have been an easy way to have an accident, and he thought better of it. Tereshchenko with a bold move down the inside at turn number 7, and that got the job done. So you can take two approaches into that hairpin. You can take the wide line and get momentum to make the pass at turn number 8, or you can go and just tuck yourself down the inside. That's exactly what he did, and unfortunately for Stotthorst, he's been passed by both methods in the last couple of laps. So Hughes and Aitken still having their private battle at the front. Tereshchenko taking a wide line through turn 14. We've seen that so much this weekend. You get on the power a little bit early and it ends up spitting you wide. It's all about the traction of the tyres, and worth reminding you that the picture could easily change given the high level of degradation. We've seen drivers pushing their way through the field, or maybe it's worth hanging back. And I think you saw, certainly on Nick de Vries' car there, the rear tyres beginning to show major signs of graining. It will be the rear tyres that will go, and when they do, this part of the racetrack very difficult indeed. Over the line, and Leclerc, let's check his lap times, because he is the man on the charge. Now only a second behind, 0.4 of a second faster than the man in front of him. That's Kevin York, who we're looking at right now. and Leclerc showing great pace in the field at the moment. So the gap between Hughes has been as high as a second, like it is right now, to Aitken. And then it has gone down to 0.3 of a second at one point. Hughes has responded well. Remember, his only victory of the season. He's had a victory in a pole position. He's contended on a lot of occasions, been on the podium 3 times, but his only victory of the season coming in a second race of the weekend. Then it was in Hockenheim. Now in Yas Marina, he's looking well placed, but he's only one lockup away, and lockups we saw yesterday, certainly in the latter stages, with drivers under pressure. And maybe at the start of the season, you would see everyone run in formation and just, you know, take the points. Well, there's no real need to do that anymore in the final race of the season. There's a 3-day test for GP3 that follows this race weekend, where new potential talent will be running. And the seats for ART, given their dominant record, very, very attractive to all the young talent. And we've seen that bollard. I don't know why they keep putting it back in. It's been attacked every session of the weekend so far, and this time it's Charles Leclerc who manages to remove it from the final corner. Thankfully not on the racing line, so it's not going to cause us a virtual safety car. And we'll see if anyone... Oh, Frocco thinking about... No, he's so close to having an accident there. He is desperate to get past, though, and that is a clear example of the desperation. They're trying to get past, so slow off the corner for De Vries, and Frocco was thinking about it, and he was lucky not to break the suspension like Calderon did. Somehow managed to keep the position ahead of Parry. That was beforehand, so he was really riled up in the car. Clearly wasn't happy with something that happened maybe into turn 11. Major lock-up moment and oversteer. And you know what? He absolutely was entitled to do it, but the contact wasn't helpful at all. Both hands off the steering wheel at one point, as he was surprised with the movement of the wheel in front of him. Oh, and that is very close indeed there into the... I thought we might have had a move. We haven't, but they... in second, third and fourth are running so close together. It's Aitken, Fukuzumi and Dennis. Meanwhile, the battle between Jorg. Here we go, we're rejoining the battle for the final podium position. This is Dennis, who has the fastest lap of the race to his name. And he is moving really closely in. Remember what we saw earlier in the year in Belgium, when he went from 13th to 2nd in a race that was heavily affected by tyre wear. Arden have a great read on it, and Dennis and Aitken, they have been matching each other all the way through this second part of the campaign. Been a real joy to watch them tussle to be the top Arden driver. 5 podiums in 6 races for Aitken, and we're on board with the man who, coming in, and won 2 of the last 4. That's now 2 of the last 5 for Jake Dennis, and he fancies another podium. Fukuzumi desperately trying to get up into what would be a 2nd consecutive podium in terms of rounds. He was on the rostrum in Malaysia. Bodes really well for his 2nd campaign, which we expect him to be with us for in 2017. Nothing between them. Now, surely, is he going to think about a move down the inside? Not into this part of the racetrack, but he's just lining it up. He'll just be thinking of making the move, and Jake Dennis is going to get some sort of tow as they go down the 1.2 kilometer straight. Here we go. Well, at the moment, it's 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Are they going to be in that order by the time that we get to the end of this kilometer? Let's find out. Aitken will be driving heavily on his mirrors. The guy is 2 seconds at the front. Hughes has checked out of this race. He's looking good for the moment, but Fukuzumi not with the confidence at the end of the straight. And despite the fact they are running basically nose to tail, no one able to make a move at this stage. And you saw in the background there, Palou is getting ever closer. So last time around, let's just check in with this. The incident involving De Vries and Frocco being investigated for forcing another driver off the track, as Fukuzumi goes very defensive. Wide line for Dennis now to try and get him on a different part of the racetrack. Look at the momentum he's got. So confident with his application of the throttle. Got to watch that, though, through turn 14. Up through the gears. It's easily flat in the next couple of corners, but a real test into turn 17 when the tyres are in these conditions.
No lockups from any of them. Palou is the man on the charge, though. He is catching them with every corner that he runs through. Aitken, the problem for Aitken is he's half a second a lap slower than everyone behind him. Second, third, fourth and fifth over the curve at the penultimate corner. So Aitken doesn't have the tyre life at this stage of the race. And it is quite some queue. Leclerc has not been able to make any inroads. And at the moment, his magnificent charge from 17th ends at 9th. So he will be hoping that the degradation for Jorg is going to improve and he can take one final point to add to the 202 that he's already scored in 2016. De Vries thinking about a move on a Lacey there, and Fuoco still can't get past De Vries. Despite the fact he's trying, they'll all be thinking about it. Lacey driving in the middle of the racetrack there to head off the attack. Fuoco very close to making contact. We're on board with the Italian driver for the Italian team. Great momentum now. It's going to need real defensive driving from De Vries. You see the puff of smoke there as the car brushes along the floor. The aggressive setup from the ART, but Fuoco with superior momentum had the position for the moment, but late on the brakes goes De Vries and maintains his position, but he's majorly off the racing line, and Fuoco knows it, knows he's got a real opportunity to attack, and these two have been going at it with each other for so many laps. Fuoco now is going to try and go around the outside. Is he going to think about a late move to the inside? He's considered it. He's locked up. It could be difficult to make the corner. He's never making that. Off the road he goes, and he's just kept it planted to the floor. Antonio, you can't do that. He's surely going to have to take give the position back to De Vries, not let his temperament rule his logic there, and he'll have to wave his Dutch rival back through. Major lockup at the end. So this is what happened. Thought about a late dive to the inside, didn't have it, got a swap on, just bailed out. And at this stage he's going, nah, you know what, I don't want to follow the ART anymore, and just takes the position. Easily be a 5-second penalty if he doesn't give the position back. So blatant it might even be a 10. So coming to the end of lap 11, the gap between the leader and the last point scorer, 7.4 seconds. And Fuoco has indeed got the call on the radio, and he's been forced to cede. He'd be so frustrated to have to do so. Thought he got the move done, then forced wide, and De Vries is back in front. It's all, sadly, for both of them, not for a point-scoring position. Not at the moment. Things could change, though, in the final stages of this race. 3 to go at Yas Marina. 3 to go for the season that looks to be finished by car number 27, Jake Hughes in the lead and surely sailing to victory. Now, Aitken's times has managed to dip once again back into the 2-minute threes. Oh, Leclerc making the move for the final point. This would be for 8th position. He's got the inside line. He's having to give his rival room. That's why he opened the steering once again. You see the wheel spin he had under traction. So for the moment, you're maintaining 8th position, but he might not have it for long. He is hugging that inside line. He's going to force Leclerc all the way around the outside. Remember, this is where he had the accident yesterday. Is he going to get it slowed down? He's running wide. Are they going to meet in the middle of the apex? No, it's Jorg who just gets through. And there's wheel spinning. He's nearly lost it. All over the place, nearly sawing Jorg in half. This is wonderful attacking driving from our champion, but still great defense from the Swiss driver who manages to maintain his position. I don't know how, but he has. And Antonio Fuoco, who was jumping the corner a few moments ago, has received a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. Still, Jorg on parts of the racetrack that maybe he wouldn't want to be. Look at the time they've lost, though. Look at the time, only racing for 4 corners, albeit in a really spectacular fashion, but they're all over the road. So they were so close to joining the battle with Stotthorst, and now it's just a private battle for 8th place. We're on the penultimate lap of the campaign, and this was some way to see it out. If you got up bright and early this morning to watch this one, you are being rewarded, because he had gone all the way around the outside, but Jorg knew that that was going to be braking very difficult indeed. It did he retook the position. But look at the drive. Oh, that was sensational from Leclerc, trying to get through any way he could. And how close was he to losing it? Very close to losing it. Full opposite lock as he applied the power, major clump of the curb, but he's still in this race. He wants that final point, though. We will have a look at where that battle is at the back of this pack. Fukuzumi still not able to make any inroads, and he might have a 5-second penalty, but you know what, Antonio Fuoco, I don't think he's going to be denied the position, forced slightly off the racetrack, waving, approaching 286 kilometers an hour as he tries to pass his rival. Is this one going to end in tears? So close together. They've already made contact once so far this weekend, and they're somehow, despite getting incredibly close to each other, Fuoco just needed to focus on taking the position there. He didn't need to fight that battle. Go and have an argument with him afterwards. No need to have the hand out of the car. This time he's going to the inside. He's nearly been squeezed to the Armco. He's got the inside line that he wanted one lap ago, and he's gone off the road once again. And you know what? I don't think he will give the place back this time. That is some sort of erratic drive. Oh, contact in the background there. That's Ferrucci forcing Essican off the road, and it's opened the door nicely for Lorandi, who had to come in earlier in the race. It's Argenmani. Sorry, my mistake. That's Argenmani. He's making his way through. Jens have had many drivers this year. Argenmani not having the strongest weekend. He's been a real pleasure to watch since he graduated. This was so close to contact at turn number 8. And then diving down the inside. Robust attacking driving, and then there's not much of an attempt to slow it down for the man who already has a 5-place penalty. But at least he doesn't have to look at Nick de Vries's gearbox anymore. Might get a stern telling off from the stewards, though. Certainly for track limits, so could be adding to his penalties. Antonio Fuoco, of course, who is heavily linked to graduate to the GP2 series next year. Be interesting to see if that comes to fruition. He is the final, he is a Ferrari Academy driver, so good links there. And the Campos is very close together. So the race lead seems to be settled for Hughes, who has about half the lap to go to claim a second career victory. Aitken saved his tyres. That's what the slow laps in the middle of the race were about. But who is going to finish the lead? Campos. Palou is going very, very deep in order to defend from Tereshchenko. This is the battle for 5th position. And behind, Stotthorst will be desperately hoping that he can keep him behind. Meanwhile, on the last lap of the race, Jake Dennis is going for it against Fukuzumi, who will be so desperate to finish the season on the podium. Nothing between them. Dennis not deciding to go all the way around the outside, but he will have phenomenal traction using different parts of the racetrack. Great speed. Is he going to throw one down the inside? No, he thought better of it. Oh, he could have done. I think if it was the race victory, he might have done. He's got great momentum still. It's not sorted out, and this is going to be really tense stuff. Has to slightly lift off. Yellow flag out there on the racetrack, and Fukuzumi's definitely not on the line he would want to be. You see the state of the tyres on the right-hand side for Dennis, who's hanging onto the machine. He doesn't have the confidence to throw it down the inside without having an accident. But here is the man who has controlled the race since he took the lead at the very first lap. For the second time in GP3, Jake Hughes is a winner. He takes victory in Abu Dhabi to close out the season. Aitken on the podium once again, and Nairei Fukuzumi somehow kept him at bay. Wow, that was close between Palau and Tereshchenko. In fact, that was remarkable. Palou there in 5th, 6th was Tereshchenko, 7th was Stotthorst. York somehow managed to keep Leclerc at bay, and the 3 Campos drivers separated by 3/10 as they went over the line, nearly 3 abreast. What a spectacular end to the season. It was serene at the front, and it was so very close at the end. Magnificent. Remarkable stuff in 5th place. Palou taking the place from Tereshchenko by 1/100th of a second. Incredible. Let's see it once again. So Palou is the top car, Tereshchenko, and after those laps, it was a wheel and a front wing, the difference between the pair of them. So most of the field will come in to the pits. On the middle pits, the support race pits that we have in the middle part of the lap. For Hughes, Aitken and Fukuzumi, though, the chance to go all the way around the lap to the podium, where he, of course, will hear the British national anthem. And that was a drive that was really made yesterday. He might have looked serene at the front, but he really had to fight his way through from the pit lane to 7th to give himself the opportunity. And having taken the opportunity, he is the winner. Jake Hughes is the winner after 14 laps, ahead of Jack Aitken, who managed his tyres very well on his way to 2nd. Nairo Fukuzumi was 3rd, Jake Dennis in 4th. Palou was in 5th, just ahead. Look at that, absolute fine margins between him and Tereshchenko. Stotthorst was in 7th. Then it was Jorg, the final point scorer. Leclerc, great charge from 17th to 9th, didn't go any further. And Lacey, De Vries and Parry were 10th, 11th and 12th. Akash Nandi finished his season in 13th, and we had Arjun Maini, Santino Ferrucci, who had the puncher on the first lap, Essakan, who was forced off the road by Ferrucci, and then Fuoco, whose penalty drops him down to 17th. Then Stuvig and Janos Lorande had the black and orange flag at the start, and 2 retirements on the very first lap, Alexander Albon and Tatiana Calderon. So here are the top 3. Could have been so different for them. And here is Charles Leclerc celebrating his title in style. That is fantastic to see. Just the one, or he might get in trouble with the team. But a great way to celebrate in front of the massive grandstand at turn number 8. And there are an awful lot of fans up there for Max Verstappen, and they would have appreciated young talent, and Leclerc certainly is one of the brightest young prospects in motorsport. Well, been a magnificent season for the series, and Hughes, Dams have really struggled with tyre warm-up. When they've got that right, they have been contenders. So exciting for Hughes, and the boy from Birmingham absolutely pumped up. Remember, he didn't start his motorsport career until he was into his late teens. That is in opposition to every other driver on the grid, but he has raw talent, and he's proved it once again today.
That was so easy.
That was so easy. You haven't heard that many times. With the setup of the Dams team, you've always got a great chance.
Reverse good wanker all the way.
And Aitken
Where's Damien?
giving Hughes a little bit of banter there. They're always sniping at each other. Hughes, Aitken and Dennis. Great respect between the rivals.
We're done, mate. We're done.
And they will go and complete the admin. Herbie Blash there. His final race weekend, dragging the drivers to the podium. The guys are in place, and the fans have seen a wonderfully entertaining start to a pretty significant day in motorsport. There is the winning Dams car. Only their 2nd win of the season. Been a difficult year. Remember, they're first in GP3, and that has been a steep learning curve. They were aided by the fact that everyone had the brand new GP3 2016 car this year, built by Dallara. It's provided us with some really phenomenal moments across 18 races, and the man who started the season on pole will finish the winner. And just if you picked up any colourful language there, apologies from us. Let's check out the final order then in terms of the points. Leclerc with 202, Albon with 177, and after all the permutations that could have been run, it's exactly the same as when we came into the weekend. Let's listen in, if we dare, to the top 3.
After like a few laps, my left rear just started dying on me.
Left rear?
Yeah, right rear. Man, mine was awful. I mean, you probably saw. At one point, for 2 laps, he was all over me. I was just like, through turn 3, it was like...
Yeah, turn 3 not really nice.
And the last 2 corners as well, it was horrible. And then I went really slow for like a couple of sectors, and it just came back.
Yeah, it's like that.
It's weird, yeah.
How about you, mate? So bad. Quite heavy, so heavy technical race.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Especially me. I was like I got talking.
In the last,
I
Did you
meant
go
talking.
back?
Yeah.
well, because he was all over me in the middle, and then I probably held him up, and Jake started catching him, and it was a train.
Yeah.
My starts are terrible.
Yeah, I saw it.
Wow.
You did a. It
I
was
don't know, it's probably one of my best ones of the season, that's what's happening.
Did you keep first place or no?
I was like fourth. Like fourth, and then, did you go the inside with someone? Yeah, and then everyone just went.
I was just like,
I tried to make the breaking. I'll see you again.
Yeah, see you later.
Wonderful post-race analysis there from the top three in the final race of this season. Interesting then that the homework for Hughes across the winter is to improve his starts. He didn't get the best getaway, but thanks to Fukuzumi attempting the move on the inside, he was able to take the lead at the exit of turn one, and that is where he stayed for the duration. You heard him get out the car and talk about the superb run that he had, called it easy. The GP3 boys acknowledging the GP2 crews that are entering the pit lane for the last race decider that we have there. But let's get the final podium of the season underway with Narei Fukuzumi, who is standing on the rostrum for the third time in 2016. Jake Hughes celebrating victory with his French Dams team underneath the podium there. Understandably delighted. Hoisting it in the air. Aiken, well, what a finish to the season. He has had a 6th podium in 7 races. He would want the season to be carrying on and on and on. And Narei Fukuzumi, who got very close indeed to taking Aiken, and who knows what sort of trouble he would have caused for Hughes, but I think he had a measure on the field. The final one for the album then.
Let the celebrations begin.
And it's not quite champagne, but they can spray it at each other all the same. It's not as early as they usually run on a Sunday. It's 1:45, but they are very, very pleased indeed on the final rostrum of the season. So Hughes, if he continues next year, Dams have learned a lot with the season's worth of data. Could he be a contender? You never really know. ART remain the team to beat. Well, phenomenal season that we have witnessed then, that Charles Leclerc triumphed over his ART teammate Alexander Albon. Leclerc is the champion. Jake Hughes is the final race winner. My thanks for your company with GP3 this season. We'll be back next year when GP3 returns.
Enjoy Sky Sports F1 Live on all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.